Starting your day off with a take on Vegas you won't get anywhere else.
Hi, I'm Holly Madison, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hi, this is William Shatner, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and I listen to Brian Shapiro. Why? Because I'm a good American. So is he. And if you don't listen to him, you need to pack up and leave this country.
This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Come on, guys!
Oh, yeah. What's up, everybody? The Vegas Take back at you, Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us. Big news day, folks. A lot to get to. Yeah, the NBA's heating up, too. We'll get to that in the second hour. Jamison Welsh of Drive Time Sports will be joining us in studio. Luke Walton going to keep his job in Sacramento. We'll get to that and much, much more. But, oh, yeah, there was somebody sort of on the witness stand today. Well, I guess you could call it testimony. Let's get right to it. William Barr. Testimony on the Mueller report, and I'm going to make my case why this guy showed himself, I'm talking about Barr, not Donald Trump, to be a liar and a coward in front of the world today. Let me just start with Lindsey Graham. And by the way, later on in the show, we'll get to Tommy Lauren and Alyssa Milano getting in a cat fight on Twitter. It's absolutely hilarious. We'll get to that coming up at the bottom of the hour. Quickly, let me just start with Lindsey Graham showing what a doofus this guy is and what a pro-Trump, showing his pro-Trump colors. Okay, he incorrectly said that Mueller asked Barr to make a conclusion about whether or not Trump had obstructed justice in his actions related to the special counsel probe. Mueller did not do that at all. It's simply not true. So Lindsey Graham either has no idea what he's talking about or he's lying because he's Mr. Pro-Trump. Then Graham turned to his favorite subject, the text messages bad-mouthing Trump between a few FBI officials, which has absolutely and positively, in my estimation, nothing to do with the Mueller report. But anyway, we'll get off of Lindsey Graham because we all know he's just a pro-Trump hack. Barr tried to explain what he was doing with this 4-page letter, right? He tried to make that attempt, and he didn't do a very good job of it. And then he blamed the media for Mueller's reaction to his letter. But this is where it's proven that Barr is a liar. Okay? This is according to Mueller in a letter. He said the summary letter the department sent to Congress and released to the public late in the afternoon of March 24th did not fully capture the context, nature, and substance of this office's work and conclusions. Mueller went on to say there is now public confusion about critical aspects of the results of our investigation. Yeah, that's what he said. It's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. And try to follow Barr's logic on this letter. The facts are that more than a week after Barr received Mueller's letter expressing concern about how the AG's summary letter had characterized the obstruction evidence and talked to Mueller on the phone about it. That's right, they talked on the phone. He appeared before Congress, and he was asked by Representative Charlie Crist. He was asked. Reports emerged recently that members of special counsel's team are frustrated at some level with the limited information, including in your March 24th letter, that it does not adequately or accurately portray the report's findings. Do you know what they are referencing with that? Barr said, no, I don't. That is a flat-out lie, because before he answered that question, he had a phone conversation with Robert Mueller where Robert Mueller had concerns. That is a 100% flat-out lie. Mr. Barr is a liar. He lied. He also made it clear he did not exonerate Trump on obstruction charges. So we got that as well. But he lied. That flat out. I just read it, folks. He flat out lied. Now, Kamala Harris, I'm not a huge fan of hers, but I thought she did a good job today. And she asked she asked Barr whether Trump or anyone in his administration had asked Barr to investigate somebody, which would obviously be obstruction. Here's the question, and here's the answer. I want to play that right now.
Has the president or anyone at the White House ever asked or suggested that you open an investigation of anyone?
I wouldn't.
Yes or no?
Could you repeat that question?
I will repeat it. Has the president or anyone at the White House ever asked or suggested that you open an investigation of anyone? Yes or no, please, sir?
The president or anybody else?
Answer the question.
Seems you would remember something like that and be able to tell us.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, but I'm trying to grapple with the word suggest.
He's trying to grapple.
There have been discussions of matters out there that they have not asked me to open an investigation, but
Perhaps they've suggested,
I don't know. I wouldn't say suggest.
hinted,
I don't know.
inferred. You don't know. Okay.
Kamala Harris just making Barr out to sound like a complete and utter moron. You notice how he couldn't answer that question? Because it is so clear that Trump and probably members in his administration asked him to investigate on people that were a threat to him. That is the definition of obstruction. That is, simply put, the definition. Okay, and by the way, it gets worse. It gets worse. Kamala Harris really did a good job did a number on Barr. Remember that Barr was the guy. Mueller turned over the report and said, I can't make a decision on whether there was obstruction or not. He left it to Barr to make that decision. So Barr was asked by Kamala Harris, did you look at the underlying evidence? You're not going to believe his answer to this. I want to play this audio because it is very, very, very important. Have a listen to this.
Is in reaching your conclusion, did you personally review all of the underlying evidence?
No, we took and accepted. We accepted.
Did Mr. Rosenstein?
No, we accepted the statements in the report as the factual record. We did not go underneath it to see whether or not they were accurate. We accepted it as accurate and made our.
So you accepted the report as the evidence?
Yes.
You did not question or look at the underlying evidence that supports the conclusions in the report?
No.
Did Mr. Rosenstein review the evidence that underlines and supports the conclusions in the report, to your knowledge?
Not to my knowledge. We accepted the statements in the report.
Did
and
anyone
the characterization of the evidence is true.
Did anyone in your executive office review the evidence supporting the report?
No.
No. Yet you represented to the American public that the evidence was not, quote, sufficient to support an obstruction of justice offense.
The evidence presented in the report. This is not mysterious process. In the Department of Justice, we have pros memos and declination memos every day coming up, and we don't go and look at the underlying evidence.
Sir, would you support
we take the characterization of the evidence as true?
As the Attorney General of the United States, you run the United States Department of Justice. If in any U.S. attorney's office around the country, the head of that office, when being asked to make a critical decision about, in this case, the person who holds the highest office in the land, and whether or not that person committed a crime, would you accept them recommending a charging decision to you if they had not reviewed the evidence?
Well, that's a question for Bob Mueller.
No,
He's
it's not.
the U.S. attorney.
We can cut it now. We can cut it. No, it's not. It's not a question for Bob Mueller. No, it's not. Barr just made himself out to be a complete clown. Robert Mueller didn't come up with a conclusion. He left it to Barr to do that. That is a question for Barr, who clearly muffled his answer. He didn't look at the underlying evidence, but still came up with a conclusion that there was no obstruction. That is utter and complete buffoonery. There is no doubt in my mind that Mr. Barr is a lackey for the president. He is no better than Kellyanne Conway. Mr. Barr is no better than Sarah Huckabee Sanders. He is one of the same. Trump can do no wrong. If you had a video, an audio of Donald Trump obstructing justice, Barr would still say it wasn't obstruction. It is nonsense. It is a joke. And not only is Barr a liar, but he is also a coward. I proved to you why he's a liar. Why is he a coward? Because he refuses to testify tomorrow. That is the definition of a coward and a Trump lackey. That is exactly what Barr is. I'll take some calls on this at 257-5396, 702-257-5396. If you are intellectually honest and if you are not biased, you will admit that Barr made himself out to be a fool, sounded like a fool, a liar, a clown, a coward. Take your pick. And there is a reason why he is not testifying tomorrow. And if you listen to right-wing radio, they'll make Barr out to be a champion. Great at what he did. Champion. He was honest. But then again, those people will say the same thing about Donald Trump. They are what I would call the deplorables. 257-5396, number to call again, 702-257-5396. Let's start off with Seth. Seth, thanks for calling in. What's up?
What's going on, man? I don't know what you were watching, but I must be watching something completely different. First of all,
I just played the audio. I just played the audio in my criticism.
No, you cherry-picked the audio.
No, I didn't. I didn't edit that one bit. I didn't cherry-pick anything. I didn't edit that at all.
Taking the parts of the audio that look good and don't look good. That's cherry-picking.
Okay, so you want me to play the whole thing? I have a 2-hour show. It was 4 hours of testimony.
I know.
Oh, well, don't say that I'm cherry-picking something.
Well,
I have a 2-hour show. It was 4 hours of testimony.
Well, let's not kill time so I get to my point.
Well, then don't say something idiotic to start your call.
Okay, well, that's your opinion. Anyway,
No, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
First of all, Lindsey Graham did a phenomenal job telling the American public what obstruction really looks like and what it's not.
I just told you he was incorrect with what. Did you not listen to what I? Now you're cherry picking, Seth. You're cherry picking. Seth, don't cherry pick. You're cherry picking. I just said that he came to the conclusion about whether or not Trump had obstructed justice in his actions related to the special counsel probe. Mueller did not do that at all. Lindsey Graham lied.
There was nothing that was obstructed. Nothing was obstructed.
He said that Mueller asked Barr to make a conclusion about whether or not Trump had obstructed justice in his actions related to the special counsel probe.
Okay,
Mueller did not do that. Lindsey Graham is a liar. Repeat after me.
I learned two big things today. Number one.
Wow.
The biggest reason that people say that he obstructed justice is because Trump ordered McGahn to fire Mueller.
That's not the only reason. That's not the only reason. That's the
biggest reason.
Well, that's your opinion.
What we learned today was that's not accurate, and we've been lied to by the media this whole time. What Trump really did was say, hey, look, there's conflict of interest. We need to get a different special counsel. There's conflict of interest. I know exactly
what you're saying, and I'm going to refer to Barr on this one. Barr tried to make a difference between firing and removal for conflict because Barr is a Trump lackey. Barr tried to thread a very narrow needle. He tried to explain why President Trump telling the White House counsel. Hold on, let me finish. Explain.
One of them is firing, getting rid of it. The other one's changing the special counsel.
So that's not obstruction of justice. Okay, so if somebody, so if I'm being sexually harassed by somebody in the workplace, I just want to remove them, but that's different than firing somebody? Please tell me the difference between removing someone and firing somebody. Are you kidding me?
Because removing, they get replaced by somebody else.
All right, fine. Well, what's the difference between me removing this phone call and hanging up on you? You want to talk about that too? Because I'm about ready to do it because you're not making any sense.
You don't want to hear it.
Right, you're destroying me. Right, we're trying to talk. So he didn't. You're telling me he didn't want McGahn to be fired. He just wanted him removed.
One more point, please.
You haven't made any good points. Please make one good point. Go ahead.
The other thing that the Democrats keep saying is that Mueller did not did not charge the president because of the clause that you cannot charge a sitting president. We learned today that that's been a big lie this whole time.
It's not a lie. No, it's not.
Mueller said even if that clause was not in there, he still would not have charged him.
It's not a lie. It's absolutely not a lie. He would not have been able to. No, he would not have been able to defend himself. Do you not understand the law, Seth? You call in and you don't make any sense. You're not making any sense. He wouldn't have been able to defend himself. Mueller said the reason why he didn't do it, he would not have been able to defend himself in a court of law. That is why he didn't do it. He left it to Barr, and Barr, without looking at the...
Why do Democrats keep saying that the reason he didn't do it is because you can't indict...
I'm telling you what I'm saying, and I'm not a Democrat. And Barr, okay, had an opportunity to charge him. It was left in Barr's hands, and Barr said today he did not look at the underlying evidence.
Do you think he did that was obstruction?
I could name you 10 things, but for one, how about telling people?
One.
How about
thing?
McGahn? Absolutely, what you just mentioned, McGahn.
Pointing out to McGahn that there's conflict of interest.
Absolutely,
bring that up.
110%. That is absolutely obstruction of justice, Seth. You had an opportunity to make some points. You didn't make any. 257-5396 702-257-5396. Brian, you're next. What's up?
Actually, his points were spot on, and he did.
Well, of course you're going to say that.
Of
course you're going to say that because you're a Trump supporter. I have not.
Totally.
No, I haven't.
Kamala Harris and what Mueller's job was versus what Mr. Barr's job was.
I just played audio. I just played the audio. How am I mischaracterizing?
I listened to the whole hearing today, and I watched that part of the testimony.
So in that audio,
and
how was I
cherry pick one thing out?
Oh, please. Cherry picking.
Almost 4 hours worth of testimony today.
I could play a lot more audio from you, Brian, but I'd rather get into arguments with
I've seen
people
it already.
like you
I know
who are way on the
I know
right.
what happened.
Oh, you do? Okay, so what am I mischaracterizing then? Please spell it out for me.
Mueller's job was to find him guilty or not guilty.
Do you not understand the law? Why do you
not pass it on?
You don't even know the law.
Oh, yes, I do. And
no,
I
you don't.
To a Harvard professor
I don't
who
care.
taught for 30 years.
I don't care.
was.
I don't care. You don't know the law.
I do. That's what I'm saying. You don't care about what other legal people who are far more intelligent on this matter.
Okay, so let me ask you a simple question then. If let's just say for hypothetical purposes that Robert Mueller said that there was obstruction, how would Trump would have been able to defend himself? How would they would have been able to prosecute him? Please, I'm waiting for that answer. How would he have been able to defend
him? When he's no longer president, they prosecute.
There you go. Ding, 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 ding.
They prosecute him in a court of law.
And that's the reason why.
Guess what?
So 6 years later,
no obstruction of justice. He couldn't
give me a break. That's not true. That's not true.
That's why, who
Barr said today.
It wasn't just Barr.
Barr made it clear today that he could not exonerate.
Excuse
me,
Barr,
Brian,
and the deputy attorney general, Mr.
your boy, Mr. Barr, who I'm sure you think is a very reputable human being, made it clear today that he could not exonerate Trump on obstruction. So you are 100% wrong with what you just said.
That wasn't his job to exonerate him.
I didn't say.
It was his job to decide whether the evidence could be convicted in a court of law, and it can't.
Your explanation is comical, Brian.
Those attorneys decided amongst themselves with teams of attorneys from the Attorney General's office.
Robert Mueller made it very clear.
Evidence would not be sufficient.
Absolutely not. Robert Mueller did not exonerate him. Barr did not exonerate him. And Barr is a Trump lackey, and I've spelled out the reasons why. You want to call it cherry picking, that's fine.
You take things out of context and misconstrue
No, I don't. Not at all. I played the audio.
Took place.
As usual.
Kamala Harris
no, I didn't.
Nothing but a showboater today.
As usual.
She's running for president.
As usual, you call into the show and you attack Democrats and you defend you're an apologist for Donald Trump, Brian. You do it every show, and I'm tired of it. Quite frankly.
I'm not. I'm an apologist for the law.
You are.
And when the guns get turned on, when the guns get turned on the Democrats.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
The only thing Trump obstructed was the attempt to take him out as president.
Let me ask you let's see if you could be honest with me here. Do you think that Mr. Barr, for lack of a better term, is not a lackey for Donald Trump? Do you think Barr did this completely fairly and he's not on the right, and it has nothing to do with the fact that he's on Donald Trump's side? Can you say that with a straight face, that you think Barr is an honorable man that is not biased for Donald Trump? Can you answer that question?
Well, since Mr. Barr has been Attorney General before,
not what I asked.
Well respected by not only Mueller,
didn't ask that.
Other people in
it's an easy question to answer. I didn't ask about his past.
The FBI and other intelligence organizations.
I didn't ask you about his past.
In the middle of a rotor, he's not a hard right-wing guy. He's the middle of the rotor.
I didn't ask you if he was a hard-wing right guy. I asked you, do you not think he was not biased in any way when it comes to Donald Trump? Yes or no?
I don't.
Okay, well, that's all right. Well, that's ridiculous.
Because of this reason.
That's ridiculous.
He wants to restore the faith in the FBI at the top leadership positions and the rest of the Justice Department.
That's where you lost me.
Fouled by the Obama administration.
All right, you brought up Obama. That means I got to hang up the phone on you. You just brought up Obama. I was willing to hear you out if you honestly answered that question. Any logical, non-biased person would say Barr is on Donald Trump's side. You refuse to say that because you're no better than Barr or Lindsey Graham. You're a Trump lackey. 257-5396. Ray, you're next. What's up, Ray? Ray, I can't hear you. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Ray, what's up?
Okay, sorry, I'm driving.
That's okay.
I wanted to call about the audio with Kamala Harris.
Yes, sir.
Okay, when she was asking Mr. Barr if he had personally reviewed the evidence, well, of course, she knows he's not going to personally review the evidence. She's not going to personally interview the people, just in the same way that Janet Reno did not personally interview Monica Lewinsky.
Okay, I'm not going to get into Janet Reno, but what I am going to say is that Barr had a decision to make whether he was going to prosecute or not. And the fact that he did not take a look at the evidence, the underlying evidence, to me, it raises a lot of questions and concerns. Maybe it doesn't for you, but it certainly does for me.
Well, it's not the Attorney General's job to actually investigate.
It is the Attorney General's job to make a decision based on underlying evidence and everything involved, whether there was obstruction or not. And the fact that he didn't take a look at that, and the fact that Robert Mueller gave him a phone call too, and had some concerns about that 4-page little joke of a report that he put together, the fact that happened and he lied, that's a problem, Ray. It should be a problem for all Americans, Republicans and Democrats.
Okay, I don't disagree that that's a problem, but Kamala Harris is making it out as if his job was to personally go out and interview witnesses and personally.
Well, his job was to His job was to make a decision. His job was to make a decision. It was left for him to make that decision. You don't think it would have been good for him to do his due diligence and look at the underlying evidence? You think that would have been a problem?
The due diligence is to read Robert Mueller's report. Robert Mueller looks at the evidence.
I understand.
I
understand that, but as an attorney general, and it is your due diligence to dig deep and go further. That is your job. If you have this is one of the most difficult decisions and one of the toughest jobs and one of the toughest decisions in 50, 60 years of law. You think it would have been wrong of him to make that decision and take a little bit more time to take a look at the underlying evidence? I mean, I understand where she's coming from. I don't think that's so far-fetched, Ray, to ask.
That would have been equivalent. I know you don't want to say it, but that would have been equivalent to Janet Rito talking to Monica Lewinsky.
Then maybe she should have done that. Then maybe Janet Reno should have done that. I wouldn't have had a problem with that. Two wrongs don't make a right.
Well, I was not saying that she was wrong either. I was just like, that's the process. You hire the independent counsel.
But nothing in the process, Ray.
Go off of their.
I understand what you're saying, Ray. But nothing in the process. In the underlying process says that he cannot look at the evidence. Nothing says that he cannot look at the underlying evidence. So I appreciate the call, Ray. We got to get to some more phone calls at 257-5396. Again, 257-5396. I'm going to assume that Philip is next, right? Philip, thank you for calling in to the Vegas Take. How are you, Philip? Philip, can you hear me? Philippe, I apologize. Philippe, thanks for calling in. How are you? I think we have someone else. Ira, is that Ira? Ira, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, Brian?
Doing good. What's on your mind?
Well, I really appreciate your attitude about everything. I like somebody like you who speaks your mind and everything.
I try.
My question to you is, I understand that all this stuff is going on, and that they want to get Trump on instruction, they want to impeach him, all that stuff.
Yep.
But they keep saying it's going to take a long time, court time and delays and everything. Why not just wait till everybody vote and then get a new president in there?
Well, I mean, first of all, I hear what you're saying, Ira, in a perfect world, but I do think Donald Trump's going to win in 2020, whether that's against Joe Biden or whoever else, number one. Number two, I think we have to get past this Mueller report, and it has to be investigated thoroughly. And if Barr did some things that, were wrong, then we need to find out about that as well. We need to find out a little bit more about the possible obstruction charge. And then after that, I don't have a problem with Republicans investigating why this thing started in the first place. I don't have a problem with that either. I will agree with Lindsey Graham on that. But let's get past this report first. Then let's look into why this investigation happened. Let's make sure that was fair. And then we can move on. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense to me, but I wish more people thought like that.
All right, Ira, I try to be fair. I appreciate the call, my friend. Thank you so much. I believe Jeff is next. Jeff, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you?
Hey, good, thanks. Hey, just per the Barr being a Trump lackey, attorneys general, and I know you don't like to talk about the past, but Eric Holder said, quote, "I'm still enjoying what I'm doing."
Eric Holder was a lackey for Barack Obama, so we can move on to the next subject.
Still the president's wingman.
Jeff, did you hear what I said?
With my boy.
Did you hear what I just said? Eric Holder was a lackey for Barack Obama. Eric Holder is a moron. I do not support Eric Holder, just as I do not support Barr. It is wrong, and we should go after these people.
And did you think Sessions was a lackey?
That's a difficult question to ask. I don't think, certainly not as much as Barr is, as far as I'm concerned. And when you look at what happened in the end, Sessions was let go. So I would say no.
Loretta Lynch?
Yes, I think that's fair to say. Yes, I would agree with that.
So I just don't feel like, I mean, I didn't see it quite the way you saw it today, but I don't think it's unprecedented that attorneys general, whether he did or did not,
I didn't say it was the president. I didn't say it was unprecedented. I agree with you. It's happened. It doesn't make it right, though, Jeff. Right?
Yeah, I'm not saying it makes it right. I'm not seeing the lackey part of it, but that's just
all right. Well, Jeff, we'll just have to agree to disagree. But I'm trying to answer your questions as honest as I can, and I appreciate the phone call. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Mike. Mike, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you, Mike?
To end the investigation.
Mike.
I'm good. Are you there?
Yes, Mike. What's up?
Hey, I've heard you say 1,000 times that you're not a Democrat, but you are without a doubt the biggest Trump hater I've ever heard.
So let me ask you a question, because
it really doesn't matter what other people say. when somebody calls in and says something good about Trump, you're bam. You don't have one good thing to say about Trump.
Sure, I'll give you a couple good things right now. Mike,
top of people.
Mike.
You don't ever let people get their point in.
Because what you said is not right.
Callers go, he's trying to get a point in, and you won't shut up.
Okay, well, Mike, I'll tell you what.
Shut up and listen to the people.
Okay, Mike, it's your show. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mike, it's your show. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mike.
Listen.
Okay,
no,
Mike,
it's
your show.
It's our show. You're right. You brought it to us.
There are a couple things that Mike. Okay, well, I'm going to answer you. Okay, well, now you won't shut up. Now you won't shut up.
Your mouth,
Mike,
you're not going to have a show much longer because you don't ever let anybody.
Mike, what do you do for work, Mike? What do you do for a living?
I'm an electrician.
Okay, well, Mike, I hope you lose your job. What do you think about that? I hope you do a horrible job. I hope you lose your job, and you are a complete moron. What do you think about that?
No, you're a complete
You better put
moron.
your gloves on, because if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get electrocuted. Make sure to put your gloves on, okay? Because if you don't, you're probably going to get electrocuted because you're probably really, really bad at your job. You're probably horrible, okay? By the way, I have said a few things about Donald Trump. The economy's good, unemployment is down, and he's extremely entertaining. So I just proved the idiot Mike who just called in wrong. Okay, the electrician. Mike the right-wing buffoon electrician. That's what we're going to call him. Thanks for calling in, Mike. I appreciate it. I guarantee you, I've been doing this for 20 years, Mike. 20 years I've been doing radio. How long have you been an electrician for, huh? By the way, can you fix? I got a few light bulbs that are out in my apartment. Maybe Mike can come over and fix those for me since he's a professional electrician. I'm sure he's very, very, very good at what he does. Anyway, we're going to come back. If you want to be a part of the program, 257-5396. Again, the number to call, 257-5396. Charles, Philippe, Scott, all you guys are coming up next. I will promise you I will take all your calls when we come back on the Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN. All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, glad you could join us. We're talking about Mr. Barr, his, I guess you could call it testimony. I guess that's what it was, right, in front of Congress. We're getting to that. We're taking all your phone calls. I want to get to this Tommy Lord, Alyssa Milano feud on Twitter because it's really hilarious. We'll get to that in a few minutes as well. And, it's interesting. I want to get back to the last buffoon who just called in, Mike, the right-wing buffoon electrician who called in, and he said, you're obviously a Democrat. I'm trying to think of some of the other things he said. But he made the assumption because I'm a Democrat and because I critique Trump and I go after Trump for things that I don't like, I think he said I'm going to lose the show. And you know what? There are some hosts out there that you can listen to, and maybe they say everything you like to hear, you want to hear. That's the great thing about this country is everyone has a different opinion, okay? Now, if you want to listen to a host that says everything nice about Donald Trump and the administration, then go listen to another show. There's plenty of shows out there you could listen to that do that. When Barack Obama was the president, I wasn't praising him for everything either. But because you go after Donald Trump and you criticize him for things that I think are more than fair to criticize him for, people will label you. People will be angry with you. But what people won't do is not be biased. Trump can do no wrong. Barr can do no wrong. The Mueller report is over with. It's done with, right? Which it's not, by the way. We're taking calls on this at 257-5396. Again, 702-257-5396. Go to Charles. Charles, thanks for calling in and waiting on hold. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How about yourself?
Doing good, Charles. What's on your mind?
So I want to get back to the original point that I think you were trying to bring up in the very beginning. This is mostly all about back to Barr, right? So at best, based on his testimony today, based on everything that I heard, he is incompetent. I mean, if I were to, I have a job where I have to show some sort of leadership.
Right.
I'm always looking at reports, generating reports.
Sure.
And I have to present those and have to discuss them on a daily basis, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, if I were to look at a report and look at the underlying statements, especially one that's quite in depth, and it took over the course of 2 years to complete, and I were to mischaracterize it in the way that he did, I would be fired.
Charles,
they would look at me.
But you're
say,
logical.
What is wrong with this gentleman?
You're right.
What's wrong with Charles?
And what happens, Charles? You are so right, Charles. And what happens at your job when you are incompetent? What usually happens?
you get out. At least
exactly.
I get a little nervous. I get a little worried.
And Charles, you're right, Charles. And make no mistake about it, right? This is arguably one of the biggest decisions that an attorney general has had to make in, 50 or 60 years?
That's right.
You know, I mean,
yeah. Here's the odd thing, you're playing this conversation straight from the source. I mean, it's not you're not right. It's you played the audio.
I played audio, and they call me cherry picking. What do they expect me to play an entire 4 hours? I didn't edit anything. I'm actually reading quotes from the testimony today, and they say I'm cherry picking, and they just want to avoid it. Look, Charles, here's the deal: when somebody calls in and they say something like that, I just call them a biased right-wing hack because that's what they are.
Well, it amazes me that somehow these conversations always seem to go back to Trump, and I don't think that that's so much what this is about. I mean, we're looking at one specific thing, the Mueller report, and how Barr handled it.
Right.
And those were what the questions were about. Now, does that affect Trump indirectly? Yeah.
Sure.
And when I look at it, when I listen to all the information I hear, I'm looking at it very objectively. I look at the facts, and basically what I see is an incompetent person there in that office.
I agree.
Not talking about Trump, I'm speaking specifically about Barr in this case.
I know you can make the argument for Trump too, but that's okay.
Well, yeah, but that's not what this was about. That's not
Charles,
what this is about.
You are so right, and I am so glad you called. Really good call, my friend, and you sound like a logical, non-biased person, not just because you agree with me, but we're looking at it from both sides of the issue. Again, the number to call, 257.
That was a great call, Chuck.
257-5396. Again, the number to call, 702-257-5396. Go to David. David, thanks for calling in. Oh, we lost David. David has flatlined.
Best call of the year, David.
Yeah, that was awesome. Anyway, go back to the phone lines at 257-5396. Marge is next. Thank you for calling in. Marge, how are you?
Hey, Marge.
I'm good. Thank you. Barr knew that Mueller was not going to come to a conclusion. He approached the department, and they actually pressed him on it, and they were trying to formulate an explanation.
Mm-hmm.
So then he goes out, and he really didn't have to do this. He didn't have to publish that 3-page letter. There was no reason to. He could have waited until the full report came out and everybody draw their own conclusions, but no.
Mm-hmm.
So he issues that 3-page letter. And I'm saying 3-page because when you look at it, really that was the content level, okay?
Sure. Yep.
And if he knew that there was no conclusion, if he was going to do something like that, then he should have actually looked behind the scenes, looked at the evidence that was mentioned earlier.
Agreed, yep.
And really pointed to it and, pinpoint. I mean, attorneys are great at, citing facts and where they're coming from and everything else.
Sure.
None of that was done. Okay.
Yep.
Then the day of the actual release of the report, he goes out with a press conference, trying to paint, another sugar-coated picture of the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's
a disgrace.
None of that makes sense.
Let me ask you a question, and you're absolutely right. It's a disgrace. Let me ask you this: Robert Mueller wrote a letter on March 24th that said that in regards to Barr, that in this 4-page summary, it did not fully capture the context, nature, and substance of this office's work and conclusions. After that, Barr testified, and he was asked by a Democratic representative, do you know why they're referencing that there are people in the special counsel's team that are frustrated? He said, no, I don't. And that is after he had a phone conversation with Robert Mueller about that very subject. What does that mean? That means that Barr is a liar. He lied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that Dick Durbin also mentioned something. He said, attorneys don't put things in writing unless they're pretty serious about it.
Exactly. And Mueller that's a good. He put it in writing. I mean, it's right there.
That's the quote of the day, as far as I'm concerned.
It really is. Robert Mueller put that. You are so right, Marge. It's always good to hear from you. I appreciate the phone call. Thanks so much. I believe Merrick is next. Why don't we take Merrick's call? Merrick, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you, Merrick?
Good to get a hold of you.
Excuse me?
Good to get a hold of you. Good to talk to you.
Oh, I thought you said how old am I? I apologize.
Hey, Merrick, I thought you also said that.
I'm sorry.
Anyways,
both of us stumped.
Politics is a blood sport.
Yes, it is.
John Claude Van Damme would be a great politician. I agree.
Today's program is lying. We're talking about lying, right? I mean, we're talking about lying.
Yes, we are.
Okay, well, I remember when I was told If you like a doctor, you can keep your doctor.
Okay, so let's just say that was a lie. You're referring to Barack Obama when he was talking about health care. Let's make the assumption, hold on, let's make the assumption, Merrick, that Barack Obama intentionally lied. Does that make it right? Does this make it right? Do two wrongs make a right?
It's politics.
No. See, that's the problem. So you just make an excuse that so you make the excuse that politicians can lie?
Merrick, I'm a big fan of you, by the way. I just want you to know that.
He's making. So you're a big fan, JD.
Merrick likes a good verbal fight.
Well, look, Merrick is saying that because it's politics, that means our politicians should be allowed to lie, and you're okay with that, Merrick? Is that what you're saying?
You know what? They both lie. They all do.
So shouldn't we hold them to a higher standard?
We do hold them to a higher standard.
Absolutely. That's why I criticize them every day.
Talking the way you are.
And that Obama lie was a pretty monumental lie. I mean, that was a blatant
Okay.
fallacy.
Well, I could name 5,000 lies in the Donald Trump administration. It doesn't make it right.
Politicians do lie, and they have lied for a long, long time.
You told me you weren't a Democrat.
I'm not.
You lied. Because
really? So what's my?
You admitted you're a Democrat.
No, I didn't. When did I say that? When did I say? I've never said I was a Democrat. What the hell are you talking about?
You just said it.
No, I didn't. What are you talking about?
He's actually wearing a hat right now that says, I'm a Dem.
So if I said right now, Merrick, you're a big fan of Adolf Hitler, would that make it true? Because I thought I might have heard that? Yeah, Merrick, I thought I heard you say in this phone call you're a big fan of Adolf Hitler. You must have said it. Goodbye, Merrick.
No, I didn't.
No, goodbye. I never said I was a Democrat. It's the point I was trying to make. I believe L is next. Let's go to Ellie. Ellie, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you?
Hi, guys. How are you doing?
Doing good. What's on your mind?
As much as I enjoy your show, these people are just driving me crazy.
As you can tell, they are with me, too.
It's difficult to listen, and you do it every day, but they do pay you to do it. So, but when I saw this stuff today, it's unbelievable that everybody surrounding this man are all liars. How do you run a government like this, and how can he possibly stay in the entire time? What are they going to do with Barr? This is unbelievable.
Well, I'll tell you what. You make a good point there, and I think Barr should resign. I am with Kamala Harris here. I think, and look, a couple callers before made a good point in regards to Holder. I wasn't a big fan of Holder either. But with that being said, though, this is serious stuff we're talking about here. We're not talking about the Obama administration. We're talking about the Trump administration.
This is Trump, and the stuff, he's unbelievable. And Harris today was really strong. I mean,
she did a good job today. I agree.
She did a great job, but I'm just saying, what do we do? You can't impeach him. I mean, there's enough on the table right now, but when you've got this whole circle of lies, it's very dangerous.
Well, let me say this. I do think, unless you're a right-wing hack, Trump supporter, whatever, use the term you want there, I think Barr's reputation has absolutely 100% been tarnished because of this. At the very least,
yeah.
At the very least, he made himself look like a complete clown today.
But how do they get him out? What's the process? How informed are you?
Well, here's the thing, and let's talk about this because you bring up a very good point. They have to prove that he lied, and I think I have proof right in front of me here. Okay, let me repeat this again because this is a very, very important point. Robert Mueller on March 24th said in regards to the 4-page summary that Barr put together, he said it did not fully capture the context, nature, and substance of his office's work and conclusions. Okay, that's what he said. Now, we've learned a few days after that, Barr had a phone conversation with Robert Mueller about that very point. Now, after that phone conversation, he was asked by Democratic Representative Charlie Crist, I believe his name is.
I watched that.
Yeah, and he said, do you know why they are referencing, they're frustrated? Do you know, I'm paraphrasing here, do you know why the special counsel's team is frustrated? And Barr's response was, quote, "No, I don't." That is a bald-faced, flat-out lie. He could absolutely get impeached and get him out of there for that. He lied.
And like the president, they're lying about things that are easily provable.
Right.
So I just don't know where to go, but something has to happen, and I hope it doesn't take something drastic.
And you know what's really sad in all this is that there are a lot of really, really, really important issues, homeless, food stamps, people that are struggling. Yes, the economy is doing better. Yes, unemployment numbers are down, but there's still a lot of people out there that are struggling and are living paycheck to paycheck. And I do think the Democrats have some good ideas, and some of the Republicans have some good ideas too. And this is a bad because it's not allowing them to work together and get things done in this country, and it's a problem.
Well, with that much corruption, I don't know that they're qualified to do anything. They're all inexperienced. This is the worst White House ever, and I just don't know what to do, but I do love to call.
Well, I'll tell you what you could do.
These right-wing nuts from? Where did you get these people from?
I don't know, but I'll tell you. You said one thing that I disagree with. You said you don't know what you can do. Well, I'll tell you what you can do. You can vote in a couple of years in 2020. That's what you can do as an American, right? All right.
Yes,
hey, it's
I
good.
am.
Always
enjoy this show,
Always,
guys.
thank you. Always good to hear from you, Ellie. Thank you so much. 257-5396. JD, you're next. JD, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hi, JD. Hi, Brian.
What's up?
What's up, JD?
There's an interesting segment of this thing that we haven't talked about. That was the letter that was leaked to the Washington Post. They wrote an article of about 15 paragraphs on it. And then at the conclusion said there was no proof of Trump's collusion. Do you know anything about that Washington Post letter that was leaked and brought out yesterday?
I do not. I did not.
The purpose of that letter, Brian, was to make Barr on the defensive. What Mueller wrote in that letter was that he was concerned about the way the press was reporting on this report of his.
That was one of his concerns. He had several concerns.
Now, who do you think leaked that letter?
Don't know, and I don't care. All I know is we have the letter and we have the quotes. Nope, don't care.
It was a letter more than likely leaked by Mueller's people.
Here's what I care.
To the Washington Post the day before Barr is to testify and to try to make him look like he's a fool.
Well, here's the difference between me and you, JD. You seem to care more about who leaked it than actually the substance of it and the fact that Barr lied. That is the difference between me and you.
We don't know Barr lied about anything.
Yes, what are you talking about? I just said it. You can't.
What we do know.
No, you're wrong.
What we do know.
You are wrong. I just said, JD, hold on.
We do know Mueller had 22
Are you that
months.
biased? You can't admit what I just said with the last caller.
You can't admit is you're moving the goalposts.
I'm not moving anything. I just read a quote from Robert Mueller. I'm not. No, I'm not.
You and Wynn said, when you get the Mueller report, then we will make the determination. Well, now you don't like what the Mueller report
Excuse
says,
me.
so now you're moving
Excuse
the
me.
goalposts.
No, I'm not moving any goalposts. We are learning that Robert Mueller said himself in this report that he left it to Barr to make a decision, and he did not exonerate Donald Trump.
Mr. Shapiro, after 22 months, after all the investigators...
Okay, you're going around in circles. Yes or no? Can you not admit that Barr lied today? Yes or no?
No executive privilege.
Yes or no? Is Barr a liar? Yes or no?
Let me finish my statement.
No. Going on to the next. No. You're not going to right-wing filibuster this show, JD. Sorry. Call into another show. 257-5396. I believe that Seth is next. Seth, what's on your mind, buddy? Uh-oh, we lost Seth. Let's go to Chuck. Chuck, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
You know, isn't it funny that in 2020 Trump's going to be the president again?
Probably. I don't disagree. Probably.
Yeah, because this is all just a bunch of crazy BS.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
All the Democrats say.
No, it's not.
And they don't do nothing for 4 years. This is what we pay these idiots to do, nothing all day long, except because they just don't like our president.
So all the Democrats are idiots and all the Republicans are great. Is that what you were trying to say?
No, what I'm saying is they're wasting all this time to do nothing when they could be doing a good job, when they could be doing
Can I ask you a question? 8 investigations into Benghazi. Were you saying the same thing, that all the Republicans were wasting time with all these investigations? Were you making that same point into radio shows?
Oh, Benghazi. Actually, people died in Benghazi, right? So
yeah.
that had to be settled.
So 8 investigations by the Republicans that found no evidence of any wrongdoing. You were okay with those 8 investigations, but one investigation in this Mueller report and maybe another investigation into Barr, you're not okay with that. Is that what you're saying, Chuck?
What I'm saying is that Trump never did anything wrong.
Not true. He wasn't exonerated. That's 150% not true. I read the report. That's not true.
What has he done to get impeached?
There are over, you can do something wrong and not be impeached. You made the reference that he didn't do anything wrong. Doing something wrong and being impeached are 2 different animals. Those are 2 different things.
What was the ultimate conclusion then, except just a big waste of time?
No, it wasn't. The reason why he was not exonerated is because there are proof that you can make a case that he did obstruct justice, and there are many instances of that, Chuck.
Listen, if he was wrong, done of any wrongdoing, he'd already be out.
Not true. You don't understand the law. With all due respect, Chuck, you do not not understand the law. The reason why Mueller did not exonerate him, the reason why that there were no charges filed is because you cannot do that to a president because he would not have been able to defend himself. There are laws. You have to learn the law. We'll sneak in one more call. Let's go to Philip. Philip, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you?
Hey, guys, I'm listening to your conversation, and I only have 2 points to make. First of all, Mueller's not a judge, so he can't exonerate anybody. That's a judge's job. But I heard you just say that you didn't care, right, about how they leaked that information.
As long as the information is true.
Well, listen, I'll tell you what. If you don't care about how information gets leaked, like I don't, then I think all charges should be dropped against Julian Assange. And even that transvestite, that Chelsea Manning, I don't think they should have charges against them either.
All right. Well, that's we'll get to that on the other side of the break. We'll get to that on the other side of the break, Philip. I didn't know that Chelsea Manning was a transvestite. I didn't know that. I guess we'll have to get to that on the other side of the break. Philip, I'm sorry I had to cut you short there, my man. I'm up against a hard break. We'll get to Eugene, all the other calls when we come back. You're listening to the Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN.